Hello YouTube, back once again with my film reviews, and tonight I saw this year's, and probably I think it's now all-time biggest movie, Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Isn't that like this movie has already sold more tickets than any other movie in history in its entirety of its theatrical run? That's crazy. But yeah, here we are with Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Before I get into this, let me talk about what I thought about the past what I think about the Star Wars franchise as a whole. Let me say this right now, I am not the hugest fan of the Star Wars films. I like the movies. I think Episode 4 and 5 are perfect examples of action-adventure sci-fi films. But I've never been super obsessed with this franchise the way a lot of people are. Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, I thought it was really good. Episode 1 and 2, I don't think they're terrible movies the way most people do. I think they're just very mediocre movies. I think that to a certain degree, that's why people hate them so much, is the fact they didn't even have the decency to be terrible. Like, they just had to be mediocre. Because I can say good things about the movies. I don't think they're just, the worst abominations like a lot of people do. I would definitely take that movie out over Last Airbender or, a movie like Last Airbender or Fantastic Four any day. And Episode 3, I thought was a decent movie. I liked Episode 3 legitimately. But here we are years later with Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. So when I heard they were making this new Star Wars movie, so I was like, okay, I'm not the hugest fan of this franchise, but that'll be cool to see a new Star Wars in theaters. But as this movie was getting close to getting released, I couldn't help but to start feeling the excitement so many others were feeling about this movie coming out. So yeah, I was really excited this movie, and let me say this right now, this movie is by no means a disappointment. This is not another prequel trilogy. This is a really good, enjoyable movie, and so let's get into the plot of this movie first. The plot of this movie, it's been 30 years since the events of the original trilogy. I think they said it was 30 years. Basically, there's a new group of people called the First Order who are trying to rise the Empire back in the galaxy and enslave the galaxy once again. And they're trying to kill the last Jedi. They're trying to find and kill the last Jedi Master, that being Luke Skywalker, who's disappeared and nobody knows, not even the Resistance knows what happened to him. And basically, a map has appeared that could basically lead to Luke's location. So, and then the map gets thrown at the droid, our main heroes find it, and then they go on an adventure trying to save the galaxy and find Luke Skywalker at the same time. So, let's go into the good and bad of this movie. Well, first, let me say this. If you are one of the racist or sexist who, when this movie's first trailer was released, who said, no, the main characters cannot be a woman and a black man. No, that's stupid. That's just so stupid to make a woman a hero. Like, a woman can be as strong as a man. Leave the room right now, because one, I hate you, and two, I'm going to be saying these two actors are great. These two actors are great. I'm going to be singing them praise from now in just a moment here. So leave the room right now and just know you're the complete minority if you think these two were awful in this movie. So yeah, because like I say this right now, Daisy Ridley as the lead Rey, for me, she was hands down the best thing about this movie. I thought she was just fantastic, Daisy Ridley as as our main hero. Well, for one, she was a stick in the mud character done right. She wasn't boring. It's not like she just was just constantly frowning and just never saying anything, giving any levity and just being completely monotone. No, she was just, you could just tell she was a broken and sad human being, and she was a very likable human being. So, she was a sad character done right. She could be really funny at sometimes. Not even when the character's trying to crack a joke, just like when she was being actually really serious. You could tell it's supposed to be kind of funny. It was actually really funny what she was saying. She kicked so much ass in this movie. Daisy Ridley, she's a fantastic heroine, this woman. I don't think she saved once in this entire movie. It really shows how far cinema has come in that matter. And I really did like her character arc, just her basically discovering the Force and realizing she's like powerful in the Force. I thought she did a really great acting job from beginning to end. Her character, she had a really good character arc. Her character was very likable. So Daisy Ridley for me was hands down the best thing about this movie. I thought she was just fantastic. But also there was the other main character, John Boyega. Did I say his name? I don't know. As the Black Stormtrooper Finn. Yeah. Well, again, well, just like Daisy Ridley, he was really likable. He also had tons of good lines and gave a really funny performance in a few scenes, and he just shared great chemistry with Daisy Ridley from beginning to end in this movie. You really did just like watching these two together. They were so likable with one another. You wanted to see them get through this. You really got the feeling about how much these two cared about each other by the time this movie was over. They were just great leads, these two. So there's that. Also for their supporting cast, Oscar Isaac as what's the character's name? Poe Dameron, I think that's how you say his name. It was kind of a brief part for him, Oscar Isaac. But even with his brief part, I thought Oscar Isaac had just is such a likable and charismatic actor that he was still very memorable in his very brief role. I hope he really gets expanded in his character gets expanded in the next episodes because he was incredibly likable, and I really love Oscar Isaac as an actor, and I really would love to see his character expanded. So Oscar Isaac was also incredibly likable and memorable. Domhnall Gleeson as General Hux, he was great at being basically like a Nazi Hitler-like character, just pure evil to the bone and just thinking what he's doing is right. And he wasn't over the top, and I give Domhnall Gleeson for somehow not being completely over the top with this role. He was actually able to keep this character very serious, and I was like, oh god, you're a horrible human being kind of feel to that. Harrison Ford's return as Han Solo, he is just as enjoyable and likable as he was over 30 years ago. He has not lost a charismatic beat, this actor, and it's just great to see this. Great to see Harrison Ford back in this role again. Same for Carrie Fisher, also returns in this movie. It was just great to see those two actors again in their roles. And finally, the last actor I want to talk about this movie is Adam Driver as the Dark Jedi, what's his name, Kylo Ren, yeah. And I've been reading online, this has been a very almost kind of polarizing decision for some people. Like, some people really like him, some people really think he just doesn't work for this role, and the reason they don't think he works for this role is just for the fact he doesn't look or sound the part of a super evil, like basically the replacement for Darth Vader in this movie. But that's what I think I honestly think besides Daisy Ridley, he was actually the best casting decision in this movie, because I think it's actually great for the fact he just doesn't look the role. Well, one, he's a great actor, Adam Driver, if you ever seen him in some of his other stuff, but I just love the fact, though, I think it really fits the character, though, that he doesn't look or sound the part of, like, to be, like, this super evil Dark Jedi, like the replacement for Darth Vader. Like, and I love the fact that, because I think it fit with the character and made him more interesting for the fact, like, he's aware of the fact he knows he looks kind of weak and isn't the most intimidating person. Like, I love the fact that, like, they make it clear, like, he wears the mask. It's not because, like, his, like, face was burned off or something like that. He just wears his mask because he just knows he does not look intimidating without it on. And it does give him, like, you do get a really good feeling that he is, like, even though he is super powerful, he does feel insecure about his power, and it does make him feel like kind of somewhat pathetic, so he actually becomes a very interesting three-dimensional villain this way, and I found him really interesting and a really villain, which is really hard to do, and I mean, like, Marvel movies have not pulled that off in any way. Like, most of their villains are god-awful. Like, they're just boring. No, I thought was actually a really fascinating villain. And I do chalk that up for the actor they chose to cast in the role, for the fact he doesn't look the part of who this character should be. And I think that made him such a fascinating villain and a very three-dimensional character that way. So, Adam Driver, I know this is a mixed opinion, but there's been mixed opinions online. I thought he was honestly, besides Daisy Ridley, the best casting decision of any of the cast members of this movie. So good job to that. And finally, the action scenes for this movie were fantastic. Everything from the space battles to the ground battles to the lightsaber battles. Let me tell you, this movie has the single most brutal lightsaber battle in the entire film series. Like, it's not like the other movies, like where like when people are like chopped or like stabbed with the lightsaber, they even kind of like they kind of like disappear, like. Like how Obi-Wan, like, in A New Hope, like, when he was, like, slashed with a lightsaber, like, or, like, when Luke's arm gets cut off, it looks kind of, like, fake-ish, like, even when, like, Obi-Wan got slashed through, like, he basically just disappeared, like, no, they show if there was, like, a lightsaber and it was touching human skin, just how much damage I would basically just be burning your flesh on contact. It is just brutal in this movie when they had the lightsaber duel. Oh, and for those who are wondering, who thought the new lightsaber, the one with like how it has like two like mini beams of light sticking out from the side, I actually really thought that was kind of weird. Like I would give this movie credit. There's actually a really good. They actually give a good reason how this could be a really helpful in combat if you're in the certain situations. So I thought that was actually, I would be like, if I was a Jedi, I would be like, I want those two small beams on the side of my lightsaber, because they did, in that battle, it did become very helpful for the villains. So there's that. Special effects for this movie were also great. There were a great mix of practical and CGI. I'm always so happy to see practical effects in this day and age. And I gotta say this movie did something I didn't think it would be brave enough to do. I won't say what it is. When you see this movie, there's a scene, there is a choice in this movie to what happens to what happens at one point that I'm like, I cannot believe not a single that Disney or like Disney or J.J. Abrams or Scareprayer just said, no, we can't do this. The fact that they said this was actually happened, I was like, it's concerning the fact this is just like a big budget, like big like crowd pleaser of a movie. The fact that they'd be willing for this to happen, I'm amazed they would let this happen. I'd say the sentiment shows how it's a cut above like your typical like summer blockbuster affair. So yeah, there's that. But more the bad of this movie, because I know so many people want to say this is a perfect movie after the disappointment that was the prequel trilogy. Guys, this was a great movie, but there were some flaws to it. First, there's two. Let me go through two minor ones, because there's just one huge one to this movie. Well, so the two minor ones. One, some of the CGI effects were pretty bad. Especially on the Supreme Leader, I think his name was Snoke. It looked really cartoony and stupid. When I was like, God, that looks bad. It looked really cartoony and stupid. The movie could drag a bit. I really feel this movie could have benefit being like 15 minutes shorter. Like there's like a middle stretch in this movie, but I was just like, this is going on too long. Like I was starting to get a bit bored. Actually, I was like, can't something else happen finally? But after that like 15-minute stretch, like it gets much more interesting again. And but this was the hugest issue with this movie, and this is the issue with this movie. This movie is not original. The plot of this movie, and that's the movie's plot, because the biggest issue is this movie's plot, because it is not original. It is a complete rewrite of Episode 4, New Hope. Do not dare defend that it isn't, because let's go through the beats of this movie. It's about, okay, there's like super dark evil Jedi and like an evil like empire, and like they're trying to bring down a resistance. And you can say like, okay, but that's the point, John. It's supposed to be like, it's like that we now have the Republic, and now like there's like this like new group trying to like enslave the empire, enslave the galaxy. Now I'm like, no, that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm saying you can't defend the fact, because this is basically how the movie starts. It starts on a desert planet. First it starts with basically these characters are fighting over a piece of information that's thrown into a droid that goes to a desert planet runs into a hero that is unaware they are skilled in the Force, who ends up taking this robot unintentionally, gets caught up in this huge adventure. It ends with them trying to destroy a giant Death Star. Tell me this is not a rewrite of A New Hope, and please explain to me how this is not you did not, when watching this movie, not think this is a remake of A New Hope. I will, and then I want you to know you're lying to yourself if you don't think that, because I honestly, first scene of this movie, I was just like, this is just a remake of A New Hope right now. I thought the first scene was a nice, loving tribute to A New Hope. I'm like, okay, new Star Wars movie. Been a few years since we've had been quite a few years since we've got the last good one, and I was like, okay, so having a nice, loving tribute to that. But no, then it kept going. The movie kept going. I realized it's going through every single plot beat that the original movie, that A New Hope did. I'm like, this is just a remake of A New Hope, and that's the hugest issue of this movie. It's not original, it's just a remake when you really get down to it. But it's not called a remake. I would actually probably be a bit more forgiving if it was just a remake of A New Hope. No, it's supposed to be a new episode, the new step, the continuation of the story of Star Wars, but it's not really a continuation. It's new characters going through this experience, but they're going through the exact same experience as the original trilogy people did. So that is the huge issue with this movie, the fact that it is just basically a rewrite of the episode 4. So, okay, but let me say this right now. This movie, I would say, is better than Return of the Jedi. I did really like Return of the Jedi. I do think this is a better movie than Return of the Jedi. So don't think I don't like this movie. I think this is a great movie, actually. And I sing this movie praise because it did something I didn't know you could do in Hollywood anymore. It took the biggest movie of the year, what's now, like I said earlier, probably going to be the biggest movie of all time, and cast an unknown cast into its main roles. That's amazing when you really think about it. The fact they used actors that you either have done nothing or have only really been popular with in indie films. Like I knew some of these actors, but they're not mainstream actors. They're mainly in indies, and I'm so amazed that this movie just basically said we're making them the main characters in this movie, because that's amazing. Going down the list, Daisy Ridley has not done anything. John Boyega has not done anything. Oscar Isaac and Domhnall Gleeson, I love those two actors, but their biggest movies were things like Ex Machina, Inside Llewyn Davis, Frank. I love those movies. Those are fantastic movies, but a mainstream audience did not see those movies. And Adam Driver also, his biggest thing was he was in the show Girls, and not many people watched that show, and that's why I applaud this movie for being brave enough to use an unknown cast for this movie. That is truly amazing. So, final rank for Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, gets a very solid 4 out of 5 for me. I thought this was a great action-adventure movie. I loved it. Don't think it's perfect, though, like a lot of people want to say. I just gotta say this to J.J. Abrams. J.J. Abrams, you made a fantastic, loving tribute to the fans of the original trilogy of Star Wars. You made a fantastic, loving tribute, but now go beyond that for Episode 8. Don't just feel like you have to remake the original trilogy. Go beyond remaking. Make it your own thing going forward. Because honestly, with J.J. Abrams' direction and this cast, because it's such a great cast, I honestly think we could eventually get the next Episode 4, Episode 5, because this was a great first start. Like I said, it's better than the last part of the original trilogy. Definitely better than the prequel trilogy. But it just needs a more confident direction going forward to do something new, do something different, make this its own trilogy, not just live in the shadow of the original trilogy. And to a certain degree, I must feel like J.J. Abrams was almost doing that with that big scene. I'm still not gonna say what it is, but the scene I was talking about earlier was him almost saying okay guys, it was him always saying to the Star Wars fans, guys, I know you were really nervous about this movie. Look, I have shown you I can make a loving tribute to the original trilogy of Star Wars. Next movies, though, I'm doing my own thing. I'm doing my own direction because I always feel like with him making that choice, like it was almost him saying that. So, yeah. Once again, though, Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens gets a very solid 4 out of 5. Great movie. I loved it. But, I gotta say this quickly before I go, because I thought this was really weird. If this is a spoiler for the end of the movie, don't want to know it ends, cut out now. Mark Hamill does show up in this movie. He does. But he shows up at the very end, but he doesn't have a single line in this movie. And I just it's so weird because this movie ends. It ends with Rey finding Luke. Like she approaches him like on an island. Like she walks up to this guy to what well here you know is Luke. Like he has a hood on, and I was just so expecting for Mark Hamill to say his line from the trailer, like the trailer that went like the Force is strong in my family. My father had it. I have it. My sister has it. And I so expected him like to turn around, like take his hood off, and then say like you have that power too, and that would be the end of the movie. And I will bet you anything there is a cut of the movie where that was the original ending because. It's just so weird just to have Mark Hamill there to not get a single line from him. I so wanted to hear Mark Hamill say something, but it was still great to see Mark Hamill in this movie. He'll clearly be in the next movie, but I'm just sad. I really wanted to see Mark Hamill have a line in this movie, but yeah, so J.J. Abrams, well done. You have revived a series that was in shambles, a film series that was in shambles. So fantastic job, J.J. Abrams. I honestly think he did a better job with this than he did with his Star Trek reboots. And I love the Star Trek. I don't love them. I really like the Star Trek reboots. So don't get me wrong. This is great. Go if you're a Star Wars fan. If you like action adventures, definitely go see it, but chances are you already have or have already bought your ticket considering its sale. So, YouTube, as always, please subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.